maybe you should. No, I've got to get pizzas to that observatory over there. And so you get attacked by some like smoke monster, and you like the pizzas fall off, and you're like scrambling around, like, oh no, somebody
Smoke
needs
monster.
the pepperoni.
So I'm swimming through 30 weight motor oil.
Why are these new additions to your game that your intention was to release this fall? What are you doing?
Their primary focus should be surviving litigation.
Someone take his phone. I'll do it. Just give me a key card and a red button that turns off Randy's Wi-Fi.
It pisses me off that they lump racing in with sports. Then you look at this insert F-bomb, Mario Kart and Sonic Racing lumped in with F125.
An aimless rant. We were just angry.
Gentlemen, we can rebuild him. We have the technology.
Up, everybody. We are live. It is episode 82 of the Hardcore Casual Broadcast. He is Jay of F1 Podcast fame.
You know I am.
And I am Mason of Online Infamy. And we are the conversation at the slow news week behind you. It has been not a lot going on since the last show.
Nothing, dude.
Our last show, I believe, was the longest show we've ever done. We were approaching
Excluding the
3
Game
hours.
Awards?
Excluding the Game Awards. Obviously, that one was for particular reasons. But yeah, so the last episode, we talked for probably close to an hour exclusively about Spider-Man. And we talked about all this other stuff. And then everything just died. Like nothing happened. So we're going to talk about it. But one thing that we did do, and let's see, we're going to talk about Ghost Recon, since one of the things that Jay brought to the table last week was this was it 25 years celebration that they did?
25 years.
25 years of the Ghost Recon series. And there were all these specials, and they might still be going on probably. Where
They are till the
90%
16th.
off for Wildlands and Breakpoint. And
Division's on sale too.
What is it?
The Division 2 is also on sale.
And we should talk about Division 2. We'll talk about Division whenever we talk about the other. But so yeah, we've been investing some time in that, and that's been a lot of fun. We've got Jay has been watching the Lioness, the Game of Thrones series, House of the Dragon. I watched a movie on Netflix that we'll talk. I do not recommend unless you can watch it if you want to like make fun of it or something. I don't know. This was one of the worst films I have seen since Prometheus. It's bad. It's bad.
Wow, man. Come on.
And then we do have a little bit of news regarding the God of War series with Ryan Hurst. Well, formerly with Ryan Hurst. And there is a little bit of additional news, potential leaks and stuff regarding GTA 6 and their Netflix presentation that is coming up soon. So that's what we've got on the agenda today. Perhaps some more, who knows, things always come up and we always end up on tangents. Oh, right. And behind Jay, I forgot. Zero Company, Star Wars Zero Company. And I have watched a few previews of that. Why don't we start off there? Because
that's fine, because I've got some stuff I definitely want to go over when it comes to
I have heard some positive things. I've heard nothing but positive things from the previews that I've seen.
That's literally where I was going.
And it looks amazing. So take it away, Jay.
Well, for all y'all that don't know, there's a game coming out at the end of this month called Star Wars Zero Company. And it is a tactics turn-based game. I don't know if they've ever really come up with an acronym for abbreviation for that.
We'll just call it an XCOM-like.
It's a TTRPG, turn-based tactical RPG. I'm going to go with that, TTRPG, until they give me something better.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, it is definitely an XCOM clone or an XCOM-like, if we're going to go with the Souls method. But super excited about it. The only thing you and I have even said negative about it was we don't like the whole Fog of War not being there.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, there's been like 20 or 30 content creators that have played this game for 50 hours. And I can tell you that not a one of them has anything bad to say about this game. There's people calling it Game of the Year, and I'm like, let's not go that far. There's a lot of good shit out there.
And let's not curse it before it even comes out.
this game takes place during the twilight of the Clone Wars. And just to refresh everybody's memory, I brought the trailer with us, the most recent one, to watch tonight before we talk about it. So I'm going to add that to the stage. And yeah, we can go ahead and hit play on that.
You want to fight?
Intelligence was just briefed on reports of a separatist fleet.
I love the
massing the
Venator
Solar
class
system.
Star Destroyer, dude.
Then we need to make our move.
It also,
You got some.
I don't think we've ever seen
Zero
like one of
company.
these type of games that look this good. Like usually the character models are like they don't pay a lot of attention on them because the camera is always
Still
going to
got
be
it all,
pulled
man.
so far back during gameplay.
Dude, that looks fantastic right there.
looks awesome.
Look at that.
What do you got for me, Bennett?
Word Silius. Coil's been spotted meeting with local gangsters. Get down there, find out what they're up to.
Customization's one of the big
Please,
things
do
I'm
it
going to
quietly.
hit on when we get talking about it. But
Criff. My team's got a contract to put an end to Fathom's plan.
I like that they made droids a
Tracking
big
Fathom
deal.
for months. She's at the center of it all.
So we got some environmental damage, which is always welcome
right,
whenever
let's get it
your
together.
cover can be destroyed.
Shit ton of races.
Yep.
I'm not in it for the credits.
There we go!
There it is,
Who's good
the
operator?
memorial wall.
Yep.
You knew the risks?
The circle must be closed.
Jedi action.
This is the 27th, right? This releases, I believe.
Yeah.
We work with all kinds of folks. Ex-separatists, ex-noble, ex-cons. And we're better for it. We're almost there. We just gotta finish this job.
One more job.
Always one more job, dude.
General Skywalker.
So, yeah, it looks incredible. One of the things some of the things that I'd heard from the previews that I had watched was also that everyone was super impressed with the story. You know, there's a really like solid narrative, which
Well
usually the
thought out,
narratives
yeah.
their narrative tends to be pretty loose around these
Well,
kinds
it
of games.
suffers.
Yeah,
Yeah, 'cause
it's
they wanna
just
focus
kind of
on the
like, hey, let's
gameplay.
get them from terrain A to terrain B to terrain C,
Yeah.
and you kind of make up the story with your own little thing that you have with the people that you've named after your friends or whatever. And
Yes.
all that. Like the story is more in your head and your own retelling,
to-
whereas
Not to mention, if you want to equate it with XCOM, that story kind of writes itself, so they didn't have to do a lot of work narrative wise.
yeah,
So your aliens invaded, and we're fighting them back. Okay.
yeah, they don't like us. Turns out. Yeah, and so that they said that the story is really great. We have the situation which they alluded to in this preview, where characters, as we've said, can die, and characters that have significance in the story can die. Like
Yeah.
characters, like they said that events can play out completely different, depending on your playthrough because this person's still alive or this person's dead or whatever, and it can vary differently. So you basically have RPG like consequences
Right.
for your deaths, which if it's anything like XCOM will be aplenty.
Especially if it's late game, mid to late game deaths,
Yeah,
where you've already leveled them up and got them superlative equipment. Now it's gone.
Or the thing where it's like what I always loved in XCOM was whenever it's like, hey, you got some people, they're in pretty rough shape. There's like a mission. It's like, hey, there's this recovery mission. Looks like not a lot of alien activity around. We just need a quick recover thing. And I'm like, oh, okay, good. Let's rest all our guys. Let them heal up. We'll send out, a couple of good guys and then some noobs to go pick this thing up or whatever and get this. And then turns out it's an ambush. And everybody gets slaughtered, and then you're left with like people that are, half dead, and you gotta pull them out of recovery and get them back in the field. And oh gosh, yeah, it's awesome. I imagine that'll be a thing going on here. And the other thing I wanted to point out was that you're not always fighting. In XCOM, you're either like resource managing or you're fighting on the field. Whereas here, it showed like there was a video clip that I saw where whatever it was that they were going to be tending to was happening like on this one side of town, but they were on the other side of town and they were just walking around talking to townspeople and investigating what was going on. And it wasn't like, oh, the camera's pulled back and you just see dialogue. It was like, oh, here's this character. Boom. Camera goes to that character's face and back and forth and like an RPG like dialogue. So it definitely seems like a new approach to this, well-worn trope.
And I feel like they bummed a lot there from Alcat on Warhammer Rogue Trader, because it does that, and they're very similar games other than the permadeath, but at least the way they look. But like a lot of what I've really gotten into, I mean, I know about obviously I love the XCOM games. The combat, I'm kind of, I'm not even, I'll let it surprise me, but I kind of know where we're going with that, right?
Yeah.
So one thing that really interested me was the customization, because when you're talking Star Wars, being able to customize your race and your clothing and what era you're kind of adopting, because there was if you watch any of these guys that got to play this like 50 hours, dude, the customization and adding gadgets to your weapons and was just insane. How about the fact that you can run the whole thing with a squad of droids if you just want to be a squad of droids? I saw somebody running literally with a whole squad of astromech droids. They didn't even have any upright walking people on their squad.
Or you could try to get like HK and IG-88 and like,
oh, that would be cool. If I could get an HK droid, I'd be right at home. But there's a channel, and I've brought them up before. They're called LT Gaming. It's two guys, and they kind of focus on strategy, and they love space games. That's who I brought up when we did the space games category. But I'm going to go ahead and throw this banner up there. This is their video on their 50 hours that they played of this game. So folks, copy and paste that into your browser and give it a watch, because it is outstanding. And they did a really good job of breaking it down for a lot of different types of playthroughs. But man, I think we're in for a treat. I really do. I'm super excited about it. If you have EA Play Pro, you get it handed to you, so you can just play it on day one. But if you're on Game Pass, you got part of that, so that's a good deal. We're also going to get Galactic Racer, so I'm super excited about that as well. But yeah, man, I am, and I know it feels like it's been low key, but I am super excited for this title. I think it's going to do a lot, not only for tactics based games, which I've always loved since Final Fantasy Tactics and Tactics Ogre, but I think it's going to do a lot for the Star Wars universe as far as part of the comeback. Yeah.
Which I hope that it is. And then also while I was watching some of the previews and stuff, there was also a situation where, like we talked about, and I'm not like completely turning about face here on my thing. I'm not completely flipping my position. I still wish that we had the Fog of War, because I think it's a really valuable part of the formula. However,
well, I think it sets the tension.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly. That's one. Yeah, that's what gives you that sense of unease and what makes you very cautious about what you do. You make that mistake once, and then you start to get real cautious real quick in that scenario. You stop being so, oh yeah, I got this. But there was one of the previews that they were showing. It was like on an ice planet, and they were having this shootout, and the sun was out. It was ice, so it was like super lit up, and I'm like, yeah, and it was kind of barren, all of
Right.
the like cover that you could find was kind of like man-made cover, like barriers and stuff like that. And so technically, the fog of war in that kind of scenario wouldn't really make sense, And granted, the way
Yeah.
that we talk about it and the way that we've experienced it in XCOM doesn't really make sense. Like the fact where like, oh, we send this person to run over here, we put them here so that they can, see some more, and then but like
They
as
do
you
see some
as
more.
you go, then we see that there's people there and there, and
Oh, yeah.
and now those people are attacking. Where like, well, this guy would stop running. Like you wouldn't keep just running like a moron, but you do. So it's like it's give and take. It's give and take, right?
Yeah.
So there's somewhere it's like, okay, there's a point where the fog of war is no longer really realistic, and there's a point where not having the fog of war doesn't make sense. So it's one of those things where maybe one day we'll find that perfect balance where you still get the risk reward aspect
Yeah.
of it without getting the thing where it's like, well, no one's going to continue running into this room whenever there's 20 dudes with guns in it. They would at least stop and take care behind the door. I don't know. Maybe there will be something for her. But looking at that, and looking at the footage, I was like, you know what? I don't think that I will miss the fog of war as much as I thought that I would. And I think
Yeah.
that they may be able to build similar tension with other mechanics.
Well, I want to say a couple things. And man, you highlighted it. I know you're not a big real-time strategy player, an RTS player, but one of the things they almost always screw up is the fog of war. And every RTS has a fog of war. I don't care
Yeah.
what it is. And the funny thing is, like, you'll be on an open plane, on a flat plane, and
Where
there'll
you
be
should
fog-
be able
and
to
I'm-
just kind of
I'm like, you're telling me, or it's in an era where we would have had binoculars. I'm like, and then like I'll expose like another 10 feet of ground, then all of a sudden there's a whole army there. I'm like, you're telling me I never saw those
yeah,
guys?
we're like,
Are you
oh, fancy
serious?
meeting you here.
So like from a Star Wars standpoint, or even XCOM, if it's a blind spot or it's close quarters, you're urban, yeah, the fog of war is excellent. But dude, if you're on Hoth and you're
Yeah.
outside on Hoth where you've already got snow blindness, you're going to see everything coming at you for miles, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah. And so that super valid point. I didn't even think about that. And there's a lot of, if they go to like some classic Star Wars locales, there's a lot of places that are wide open like that where it would make no sense to have fog of war. But I mean, if they're on like Coruscant in the lower levels, or you're in Nar Shaddaa where the huts are from, or
Well,
that,
and
they should have it.
I am curious, and I was thinking, well, maybe they, because I haven't heard one way or the other, and I guess we'll soon find out ourselves. But there might be some mechanics that, like I said, could lend the similar tension, like the fog of war, to the gameplay. For example, like just because there's no fog of war doesn't mean that they can't hide NPCs. I haven't heard one, because in XCOM,
There you go.
you
Yeah.
could have the fog of war cleared, but since you hadn't actually locked eyes or seen somebody break cover, they would still be invisible to you until they did break cover.
Or they had reinforcements that you didn't know were coming
Yeah.
in.
So you could still go to, like, say, Kashyyyk or something like that, and all the trees, and maybe if they're hiding behind a tree, kind of like a Ghost Recon, where until you like get your crosshairs on them and highlight
Yeah.
them, for all you know, they're not even there. You're not aware of them. So they could still do a thing where where NPCs can basically hide from your perception without the fog of war. I don't know if they will or not, but I see that as a possibility.
Yeah, and I want to bring up one other tension point, and maybe you never experienced this, but I'm sure you did. And this has nothing to do with fog of war, but I remember a lot of times, it was your turn, then it was their turn, and then at the end of their turn, right before it switched back to your turn, they put their weapon away and they had a frag grenade. So you knew the next time it came around to their turn, they were throwing a frag grenade, which made it worse because you're sitting there the whole time and you're like, who's he going to fucking throw that at, man?
Yeah.
Please don't go over there. Please. And it was always exactly where you didn't want them to throw it. Right. So it was like, you knew you were going to, you're like, son of a bitch, Russ, you're going to be dead here on the next turn.
Or the thing was be like, there'd be a situation like that where you're like, okay, I'm going to have to run, but also you're out of ammo and you need to reload. And you can either run and then still have to reload your next turn so that you can have something.
Yeah.
So you're basically giving away 2 turns until you can attack again, or you can risk it, reload, and hope that the frag goes somewhere else and you can take a shot, whenever it comes back around to you.
Or you're the only medic and it looks like all the enemies are pointing at you, and one of your other buddies is about to go down, and your only move is to get over there and heal them. So you're burning up action points for that. And it's funny to me how much D&D is inside of the XCOM engine. And I'm sure we're going to see it on this game as well. But you got this many points, and you can move once and shoot once, or you can move twice and not get to shoot at all. That kind of thing.
I was always whenever I was in the sort of cautionary stage and I'm trying to like feel
Dig
it out.
in.
It was move once, Overwatch. Move once, Overwatch. Move, and like that was then as soon as something moved, then it was like pew pew pew, like everybody's shooting at them.
I would always take like one rookie as my canary in the coal mine type
your
of deal.
red shirt.
Yeah, and I'm like, get out there, Danny. Let's see it happen. Make me proud.
I would color code my people, right? And I would put my noobs in red shirts, like they were red.
Oh wow!
It's like you're throwing. If you survive this, okay, you can be support or you could be a grenadier or whatever. But right now, you are fodder, sir.
It's funny because
sorry, Jeremiah.
If I would send them on a suicide run, I'm like, and if they survived it, I'm like, okay, you're ready for the show. We can send you to the show, And then if they got whacked, I'm like, dude, I barely knew you anyway. Let's quit bitching about it,
Yeah, it's like, okay, guys, let's all have a moment of silence for James. I mean, Ronnie. Yeah. I mean, whatever his name was.
Anyway, man, looking forward to this game. I think it's going to be fantastic.
Me too. And so we'll see coming up very, very soon. Coming up like 2 weeks from now, right? If that.
Oh yeah, maybe not even that.
So yeah, it's coming up quick. I'm looking forward to it.
What happened to my calendar?
And let's see. I guess we could go ahead and talk about Wildlands. So, or I mean, Ghost Recon in general, but specifically Wildlands is what you and I and Rob and other friends have been playing. You'd mentioned it, so we got in
twice.
Yeah,
I brought the rumor up one week, and then we found out it was true, and then we played it. So yeah,
and so I've put a lot of hours into this. Is kind of replaced for now temporarily. I'll get back to Black Flag because I'm doing the same thing with it, which is another Ubisoft game. But this is kind of taking the place of Black Flag in my kind of like hop on, do some things, and hop off. Now I know a lot of people give Black Flag and Ubisoft in general, with like the Wildlands like that, they call them, Ubisoft map games, because it's just a bunch of points on a map and you gotta. That's crack to me. Like,
it's not fair. Yeah,
that's what I want to do all the things like that.
Yeah,
you put those points on a map, I will go and do them. I have to hit all the things. I've got to turn off all the little beacons. I got to have all the icons go away. I need to complete it. So whenever our group isn't doing something, I'll run a few missions and then I'll just go and try to pick up these points, whether it's a new weapon or a weapon part or intel or whatever, and just trying to clear the map of these things. But I have been loving it. This update, it still is insane how much juice they can get out of a PlayStation 4 game that they have now done this big update to, but it is not a next gen update. It is still not a PlayStation 5 update or upgrade. It is still a PS4 game,
But it
And
looks fantastic.
they
man.
have managed to squeeze out, just like they did with the Division, they have managed to squeeze out so much from a PlayStation 4 title. It looks incredible. The weather is awesome. I love the dynamic weather. I love it when it rains. Yeah, it looks good. It feels good. I've been having a blast with it. How about you, Jay?
Well, I mean, I love those titles anyway. And one thing that always, as opposed to like a Battlefield or a Call of Duty, um, I love tactical mission based gameplay. And truth be told, I love taking it slow and getting in there and knocking out the perimeter. And a lot of us are excited for you to go ahead and get where you can activate tier 1 mode, um, because it takes so much away from you. Like there's no more blooms on the map. You have to physically spot everything you see. And I love what they did with the difficulty level. It's as easy or as hard as you want it to be. And folks, I'm not going to judge you no matter what you play. You can play it on easy for all I give a shit about. Play it on walk in the park mode if you want. But it's still an incredibly tactical combat sim, and you don't see that very often. People call Call of Duty and Battlefield that, and I love Battlefield. Don't get me wrong. The sound, it makes you feel like you're in a Bruckheimer film. But Ghost Recon does something no other game does, and I felt like the story for Wildlands versus Breakpoint felt like it was ripped straight from the pages of, whatever CNN, Fox News, whatever you want to call it. Really great story where you're being sent in to destabilize cartels. And that in and of itself was enough for this game. But then they turn around and give us 4K, 60 FPS, give us a new episode of DLC called Last Rites.
Like higher
textures,
higher detail textures,
high res textures. They brought back cosmetics that had already timed out and we weren't allowed to have. And then they brought back the king mother of all missions, the Predator mission.
How many hours did we spend on that?
4. I have seen this week, I don't know how many TikToks or scrolls on Insta where it's like, well, about to log in and do another 1,000 attempts at taking the Predator down.
I feel like we got so close.
Couple of times we did. Yeah. And it's weird because there's the only other indicator that you're close is when he's almost entirely bloody green. And they're not going to tell you when he is. All of a sudden he just goes to his knees and then it'll say confirm the death or whatever. And you have to go over there. And I feel so fortunate now as we played through that 4 hours that I was like,
which we never did get it, by the way. We still have not.
We never got it.
We will, but not yet.
But it made me feel thankful that I had gotten it before. I'm like, yes, thank you, Jesus. Because, dude, it was awful. And I didn't know who wanted to keep going and who didn't. And we had a full 4-man squad. We had a full 4-man squad, which was excellent. And we had a good time trying a lot of different tactics. And some of the tactics annoyed other squad members, like the divert wars. Yeah. And I'm sure we're going to give it another 1,000.
Oh yeah. I've got to get it, man. I didn't get it the first time around back in the day. So yeah, I gotta do it now.
I'm looking forward to playing again this weekend. I hope you are as well, but
yes, definitely.
Kudos again to Ubisoft and there's a lot of people like, why didn't they do Breakpoint? Well, amongst the fan base, Wildlands is the favored among all of the Ghost Recons. And Breakpoint already is 4K 60 FPS. So they didn't need to do it for that. So that being said, man, I absolutely enjoyed playing it all weekend. So good to play with friends and my son played and, you and Rob, and it was a good time, man, because we hadn't done that in so long. And it's funny how that game, Rob brought it up the best because before you even came along with us, we had played that game pretty freaking solid, man, for a long time, trying to get all the weapons cases and the medals and helping each other out with missions here and there. And we all needed it. And it was a good time. So anyway, I enjoyed it very much.
Well, and to that, back with Ubisoft and how they keep going with these PlayStation 4 titles. Not long, I don't remember when it was that you sent this to me, but not long after we started on Ghost Recon, but then you sent me the link where they were announcing that there is new story content
Yeah.
for the Division 2.
Yes.
Like, and my response was like, we get it. Just announce Division 3 already. Give us Division 3. But they are still going strong with Division 2. We talked about it. I mean, we have been all these teases of new things in Division 3, and it's been like, oh, it's a re-release, and now we've got new content. And I mean, they keep supporting this game. Which,
Yeah,
I mean,
man.
you can't hate. You can't hate.
You can't, but I thought you made a very good point, which we'll get to in a second. But so, you know, we got Gangs in New York, or what? Not Gangs in New York, Warlords of New York, or think, and then we got Battle for Brooklyn, and they've got a new DLC. We don't know what the title of it is yet, but they wanted to prime us for it, so they added a new incursion this week, which that's a huge piece of content by itself. And then we're gonna get the story base, but your comment, dude, just because I sent you the thing was like, seriously? Not that I'm pissed off, but
Yeah, but it's just like,
you-
come
you
on,
an-
man.
you-
Give us
you
what we're
answered it.
asking for.
you gave me the answer I wanted you to give me, which is just give us Div 3 already. Right? But no.
At least just announce it. At least just let us know it's coming.
Yeah, and then on top of that, they give us freaking Division Resurgence, the mobile game on PC, which is basically just the first game. It takes place in New York, just like the first game did. And it's terrible. It is a predatory microtransaction nightmare. Yeah, just give us Div 3 already.
So, yeah. We'll see. We'll see what comes of that. But yeah, it is still impressive what they are able to continuously squeeze out of these PlayStation 4 releases. And at least in the case of the Division 2, that's their most recent release when it comes to the Division series. But Ghost
Right.
Recon Wildlands is not their most recent release there, and they're still, supporting that. I commend them. I commend them for it. So moving on, I guess I will go ahead and touch on your favorite subject, Jay, and that is Grand Theft Auto 6. And last week we were talking about the whole situation with Netflix, and I will tell you, Jay, should I have been surprised? No, but I was still somehow like whenever we were talking about Harry Potter and I mentioned in passing, I don't care that Snape is black. Like and then the level of
Yeah.
insanity that we got. I was still somehow shocked at how upset some people were about the Netflix thing. I was shocked. I shouldn't have been.
I told
but
you, man, there were some people that were salty as shit about it, man.
Yeah. So then I started seeing all these where it's like, again, I didn't understand because it's like, okay, it's it's not even 24 hours. It's not a week. It's 6 hours. It's hitting Netflix 6 hours before it hits
Yeah.
YouTube and Rockstar. That is nothing. That's nothing. So I thought, so everybody's like, they're paywalling, game previews. I'm like, they're not. Like, no, you could just wait, take a nap, and it'll be time.
What's
but
funny to me is a lot of these people probably won't even be able to watch it at 3 anyway for whatever reason. They'll be at
Yeah.
work or whatever, and they're bitching about nothing.
I think it's 3 Pacific time, which would technically be 5 o'clock here in Central Time, God's time.
Oh yeah, true.
So it'll be right on. But so some of the new things is Netflix Portugal in a screen that someone was able to access, which has now been removed. They had what looked like placeholders for episodes of this. So we had suspected that this would not be your typical thing that gets posted to YouTube, right? It doesn't make any sense. If it's just the typical
Right.
trailer or the typical extended look, it doesn't make any sense for Netflix to pour all this money into it to get it only 6 hours earlier. Like, this has
Right.
to be something substantive. And there had been a question asked of Strauss Zelnick as to whether this would feel like other shows or properties on Netflix, and he said yes, it would feel like it belonged on Netflix. And he even said regarding the extended look. So this is a quote that now looks to fuel to the leaking fire here. He said that the extended look was one of the hors d'oeuvres. He said there's appetizers, main course, and dessert to follow. So now that we have this thing of like, oh, looks like there could be multiple episodes, this kind of lends credence to that perhaps they could break it down, which also again seems right because that's how Netflix works. Whenever there's like some
Right.
sort of thing, whenever there's like, hey, a limited series, true crime, or whatever it is, like a documentary, they will do it usually in episodes. So the runtimes on these placeholders, and again, if these are not legit, these would be very random numbers to have as just placeholder stuff, just to have something there. So the runtimes for the placeholder episodes, the first one was 23 minutes and 37 seconds. Episode 2 was
Okay.
24 minutes and 41 seconds. And episode 3 was 18 minutes and 29 seconds. So for a grand total of 66 minutes of content across those 3 episodes. But I think that makes sense. I think they could have basically, one bit sort of dedicated to the making of this, or like, if not just the making of, like, oh, the making of the world, oh, how we did the gameplay, how we could see something like that. I think that actually makes a lot of sense. So I don't
Yeah.
know. What do you think, Jay? What do you think? Any opinions on any of that?
Man, I'm trying not to, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I feel like it's much ado about nothing. Like I said, a lot of people might not even be home at that point, even if they're already out of work. It's like I said last week, going to the grocery store, taking their kids to sports practice, and we're in prime time for that with school just starting up and got football and all kinds of shit going on. So,
Yeah, so
um,
now that you mentioned it, so it's actually, I thought it was 3 o'clock Pacific time. It is 3 o'clock Eastern time, which in the Lord's time would be 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
yeah, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah, you shouldn't be watching that shit anyway. You should be at work. And the funny thing is, I've got Netflix, and I'm probably going to end up watching it on YouTube at 9 o'clock. So, not that it freaking matters to me. And the other thing is, we don't know what's coming in regards to the content. I have a feeling if this thing isn't gameplay heavy, they're going to get tore up even worse the following day.
I think it'll be fine as far as that goes. I think they'll show gameplay. I think there'll be plenty there, and I think there'll be plenty to go over. I think the significance here is not so much about Grand Theft Auto 6 because, I mean, what else is? I mean, obviously we want to know more. We want to see more, but
Yeah.
like, what if they? I mean, it's going to sell just fine. It's already sold just fine. Like, nothing's going to sink this game. So, like, while we're interested, I think the more interesting part about the whole situation is, what does this mean going forward? So okay, whenever they do this presentation, will more games follow suit and have similar sort of if it is episodic, sort of these
Right.
episodic, maybe documentary style things to do it? Because again, nobody. I know there will be somebody who's like, oh, well, I do, but
Yeah.
let's be real. Nobody watches TV. Commercials don't make sense anymore. The traditional way that advertising was spent on games, especially the last time a GTA game came out, that was a very different.
Oh my
world.
God. Yeah.
You would go to IGN and, the frame around the IGN homepage would be GTA and all this. It's like, who's going to advertise? Like, GTA doesn't need to advertise on. Nobody cares about IGN. Nobody respects IGN or their opinion.
Right.
So all of this stuff is unnecessary. The typical way that you would advertise really is moot. It doesn't make any sense. So finding a new way to make these sort of like information releases hit and resonate, because I think the way that they're going to end up doing this is probably going to resonate a lot better than the typical thing that we get where, oh, we have some D-list celebrity. Hey, we get Trevor Noah coming in and he's going to act like he's really into the game and he's going to have some poorly prepared jokes, thrown at just awkward stuff. Like, we don't need that. So I'm really interested to see how this approach works, and I'm interested to see what else they do as far as advertising goes, because I really, if I was them, I wouldn't spend. I'm curious to see where their ad money goes, because I
Yeah.
doubt that it goes where we've seen it go before. It doesn't make any sense for it to go there. And then I'm also very curious, as I said last week, where Netflix goes from here, because I can't imagine this being anything short of a massive success for Netflix.
Yeah.
This is going to be incredibly sought after.
You're not
Like,
wrong. Yeah.
yeah, like I said, I don't think any of the information that we're going to get here is going to be particularly valuable, but it's going to be interesting. Like, it's not going to be like, groundbreaking news, but I think it's going to be interesting, and a lot of people are going to watch it. And so this will be a new, like, point of interest for Netflix. This video game and video game content, and now we're having this, preview content for you guys. I don't know. I think it could be a thing where if it goes well, that Netflix kind of like perks their antennas up, and they're like, "Hey, here's some untapped potential."
Perk something up.
Yeah, and we get to anything that we can make some money on. Let's go there. So yeah, we'll see. Looking like potentially episodic, likely documentary kind of style thing for Grand Theft Auto 6. I'm very curious to see what we get.
Especially if they get Attenborough to narrate, that would be great.
Yeah.
We're here to find the basic Vice City thug in his natural environment.
Well,
Let's see how it goes.
There's been the meme of different people on like Instagram and TikTok and that kind of stuff where they're like, "Oh, me getting ready for my Netflix documentary," because Netflix has a very unique style of their They always
they're
have to have
stealing
the
that
thing
from
of-
Drive to Survive, by the way. That's straight Drive to Survive.
Well, it's all of their documentaries do this.
Yeah.
Like, that's a very Netflix thing for their documentaries. They all have that bit where the person's like, straightening themselves up and getting their microphone adjusted properly, and then they're like, "Is this thing on?" Like they have that whole moment in every documentary, it seems like.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. I'm very curious to see what this means going forward for advertising for games and for Netflix in general.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you have any? We've got some God of War news, but that's game adjacent. But that would be like a transitional into our entertainment spot. Do you have any more game related?
Let's see. Hold on just a second. Let me find out. So I want to bring this up, and it's not going to be a huge deal, and that's fine. I brought it up with you yesterday.
Maybe it'll be a short episode.
You didn't seem to give two fucks about it, but what is widely considered the best Lord of the Rings game, Aspyr remastered it and then freaking shadow dropped it yesterday. And I'm of course talking about Lord of the Rings: The War in the North, which has you playing one of three heroes that you can swap between at will. And you're playing either as a, wait for it, Númenórean ranger, a dwarven fighter, or an elvish mage adjacent. Because Lord of the Rings is real weird about wizards. And the story is that, and at the very beginning, and I'm not spoiling a game that came out how many odd numbered decade years ago, they actually go into the Prancing Pony at the beginning of the game and meet up with Aragorn before Aragorn meets with Frodo and them. And Aragorn's like, "Look, I've got to protect this stupid hobbit. He's got this thing. I can't tell you about it, but he's not great at fighting. So I'm going to be all over him and I'm paraphrasing wildly. He goes, but there's a whole bunch of shit going on up north, and we need you to go up there and handle the whole part going on up north," which isn't far-fetched because there was combat going on in Lord of the Rings up north in Arnor. Gondor gets all the glory, but Arnor was dirty and wicked up there. So you end up going up there to fight. And dude, I know it's not a remake. I know it's a remaster, but they did it again. They did an excellent job, and Aspyr does good work. I thought they did a great deal with the Tomb Raider games and with Battlefront Classic Collection, and even with Bounty Hunter. But apparently they're also working on remasters for the Two Towers and the Return of the King, which were also excellent movie games. Oddly enough, movie games typically suck, and movies typically suck.
See, I can't remember which one it was that I played that I have missed all these years, and because the name
probably
of the one
Conquest.
Well, it was also an action game, And I remember I just loved like going at it with swords, and you'd have the finishers, and you'd stab people while they're on the ground and pull it out.
War in the North has that. That's what War in the North does.
So it's like, I looked at it, and like the images looked like it, like similar to what I remember, but I was like, I don't remember that being the name of it. But maybe it's that one that I was like, I've longed for it ever since I played it on like the 360.
Well, folks, if you've never played it or if you loved it when it was out, you should definitely get it. Especially right now, it's on sale for like $17.99, and it's full sale or full price. It's $19.99. So, is it worth $20? Yes, if you have $20, absolutely, and you love Lord of the Rings. But I just wanted to bring that up because I love Lord of the Rings, man, and anytime we don't get very much good news Lord of the Rings way. So I figured I'd bring that up. And then also, just for shits and giggles, because I'm one of the people that play sports games, I got to try Madden 27 today. I downloaded last night. It is fantastic. The big deal, the big gimmick this year is they wanted to make you feel like you're watching it on television. Mission successful. Mission accomplished. They did it. It looks great.
So how do they? How does they? Is it because of like sort of like updated camera angles?
So they got updated camera angles, and they got like blowaways when you're like walking towards the huddle, and and then they'll show that like the GoPro that sits on the ground in at the bottom of the huddle, and you're like looking up at the guy's face. Just outstanding. And then just the sportscasters, the amount of feedback that they're given during the game is fantastic. The only thing that's not fantastic, but totally avoidable, is what we talk about with every sports-based game. That includes WWE 2K.
The fantasy team
They want
stuff.
you to buy those freaking card packs, man, to play Ultimate Team. And folks, I'm not judging the people that play Ultimate Team. The people that get into it really get into it, and they're passionate, and it's great. And
I do think though that they take advantage of those people. I think that those people could be getting a much better experience without bleeding them dry.
Yeah. And I see some cards like they'll come, and not necessarily this one because I've only had like 20 minutes with it, but some of the past ones, which I was a huge Barry Sanders fan. So they're like, hey, this card's available in this pack. You might get it. You have a 1 in 650 million chance of getting this card. Right. I'm not going to get this card. And I would love to have that card, but I'm not even playing Ultimate Team, so I don't care. For me, it's just about franchise mode. So
I don't understand how we have come back to this, where there was a time, remember whenever Overwatch and all these games, they had to take loot boxes out of their games.
Yeah.
Because it was gambling for kids.
Yes.
And now, somehow, all these card things are injected into these games, card games, dice rolls, all that stuff. Roblox is full of it. And it's still gambling. How did we get away? Like we can't do loot boxes because that's gambling, but we're doing the card thing and we're doing the dice thing. How are we able to do that whenever we couldn't do? And granted, I'm not lobbying for loot boxes to come back. I'm lobbying for this other stuff to be gone. The whole thing of, hey, here's a thing. Just pay if you want it. Just pay us for this thing. Instead of, hey, but of course that doesn't work because, hey, if it's like you want this one card, well, spend $300 on packs trying to get it. It's just so shitty.
Good luck.
I hate it so much. So, but I'm glad that they're still iterating on Madden. I know it's one of those things where very often year over year there's not a big change because they have to basically kind of like pick one thing. Since it's an annualized release, they kind of have to pick one thing to kind of focus on across there, so you don't really feel it unless you're like 2, 3 or more years back and you get the new one.
Oh yeah, when you take like 2 or 3, you keep the same one for like 2 or 3 years and then you buy a new one, it feels like a whole new game.
Yeah, because you've got several years of iteration now.
That's like I'll actually put this ball in your court, and so I'm playing the wrestling games right back in the day, and it used to be you had weak strike, strong strike, weak grapple, strong grapple, and then a direction based on what you did. I love that control scheme. That control scheme is phenomenal. But then I took a big break from wrestling games, and then I came back, and I'm like, wait, what? And I looked at and they're like, you can do this, and you can press up and down and hold on the L1 and the R2 and then put the mechanics claw on your controller, and you might be able to counter their special move. Hell, you might be able to steal their special. And I'm like, dude, just give me back my Ukes controls, bro.
Yeah, I don't know why every couple of years it's what's funny is it seems like whenever they don't have anything, like they haven't really iterated on the gameplay, they haven't made any real
Yeah.
significant gameplay improvements. They're like, "Hey, we've got a new intuitive control scheme." And all it is,
No,
it
they
just
don't.
makes it hard to master, but it's because it's different and it's not intuitive. So it's like they're sort of like artificially creating this challenge because they couldn't do it in gameplay. They're just like, well, what used to be square is now triangle, and what used to be X is now R2. You know, it's just because all your muscle memory is fucked. And so
Yeah.
it's just like, this is not fun. No, I'm with you. I was always where it's like, yeah, strong grapple and weak grapple with a direction. So you'd have like the button by itself, and then
Yeah.
with each of the buttons. And then same thing with the grapples. And they've kind of done something similar with the grapples now, where it's like you grapple and then it's like a direction with one of the face buttons. So it's kind of there, but yeah, it's just it's a bit of a nightmare. The control scheme's always a bit of a shit show.
That's why I never liked the UFC games. They've never figured out a control scheme for this. So like if you're just trying to play beat 'em up UFC, yeah, that's easy to do. But if you're trying to get top control and then roll the guy over to dude, your hands, you're gonna have rheumatoid arthritis just getting a tap out.
I'm sure there's a way to do it, but I'm glad it's not my job to figure out what that way is, because for the life of me, I cannot figure a way in my head to distill the complexity of mixed martial arts into any sort of reasonable control scheme on a controller, no less. Not like a keyboard where you have all these buttons, but you know, you've got your 4 face buttons, you've got your 4 directional buttons, you got a couple of analog sticks and some shoulder buttons.
Yeah.
Go have fun. Give us a fully functional, deep MMA game where you got kickboxing and karate and jujitsu and taekwondo and, you know, top control, side control, bottom control, leg locks, wrist locks, head locks.
Yeah. And you know, I played the first UFC game on the Dreamcast, and guess what control scheme it had? Weak grapple, strong grapple, weak strike, strong
and
strike,
I remember
and
there
a
was
direction.
like a time whenever it was like, yeah, where it's like, oh, if you were on top and you're like, oh, let me shift to side control, you had to do like this weird like sweeping move.
Yes,
with the
I'm
D-pad.
like, what?
Yeah, it was so like not intuitive at all. I guess like, well, because you're moving to the side, so you're rotating this way. It's okay, so we rotate that way. It just never works. It never makes sense.
No.
And also, I think the biggest travesty of the whole UFC thing is that it took the place of Fight Night. Is that all the resources that they put on Fight Night
fucking
shifted
sacrilege
to the UFC game? And it's like, but that doesn't make any sense, because it's not like they are 2 different beasts, okay? And man, Fight Night was so fun. Like,
dude, it was mint.
Yes.
And the control scheme was simple to learn and absolutely hard to master if you didn't know the sweet science.
Yes.
You know, you had to know when to do it. It was easy to do an uppercut. It was easy to do a right hook or a cross even. But knowing when to do it, that was the key.
Yeah,
right.
And how to like bait your opponent and like the whole bob and weave and all this stuff, man.
The Philly shell and
so it's like I would have been okay if they were focusing on both of them, but I guarantee if it was both of them, which is funny because in real life, you know, UFC is eating boxing's breakfast. You know, like it's like boxing. If you're not already famous, you're not getting famous.
Right.
You know, it only big fights get any attention whatsoever in boxing, or if something horrible happens. And UFC is a big deal. But in the games, man, if they had Fight Night and UFC video games running concurrently, I think Fight Night would be
kill it.
Yeah, dominate it. Because like you said, it's easy to pick up. It's very friendly for new players, but it is very deep and there's a lot to learn. And granted, obviously, UFC, there's a lot to learn too, but it's just because it's just complicated. And you know, whereas this is, it's not that it's complicated, it's that it's complex.
Yeah, there's
in
too much
Fight Night.
involved, man.
So
Yeah, and I don't know if you've ever got stuck in the algorithm on social media, but there's an entire community out there of people still playing Fight Night Champion.
oh yeah,
And it's huge. It's a big deal. There's bragging rights, and like the top 5 guys in the world that play Fight Night Champion. Like you'll see them do a head to head one night, and it's like, oh, you think you're gonna beat my? You're not beating my. And it's that whole. And that game was, dude. Fight Night Round 2 though was probably my favorite one of all time, without a doubt.
I spent a lot of time on that one,
Yeah.
man. I was in college and I'd be playing that. It would be like that was the thing, is like you could play it, be drinking with your buddies on a weekend in college, and just like have a blast, just knocking each other's brains out on the on the TV. It was awesome.
I know in the military we used to just put a dry erase board up and we'd have like a bracket.
Yeah,
and you're like, hey, your fights, hey, get on the PA. Your fight's up in room 11, man. You need to get in there and get your fight done. Yeah,
or
people, you show up. Yeah,
or I'd love getting like you get somebody that would be like play as Pacquiao, and then you can put him up against George Foreman. You'd say to hell with weight classes. Like no, so you'd have like the big guy versus the little guy, and obviously George Foreman can knock him out in one punch, but it was all these sort of like freak show fights. It was really fun. I
Butterbean.
Yeah, I miss it so much, dude. So yeah, I enjoyed the video game of boxing far more than I ever enjoyed the sport of boxing. Even though I did enjoy the sport of boxing, do enjoy the sport of boxing when it's good, but it's not what it used to be. Now it's just fighting for points. Nobody's trying to actually beat the other guy. They're just trying to not lose. And so it's not exciting anymore. So I greatly prefer UFC in real life. But man, when it comes to video, I can't remember the last time I even seriously. I don't know when the last time was I bought a UFC game. And as far as like seriously trying to play it, they just don't hook me. Like if I'll play the demo, do whatever. I'm just like this. It's still
and
you'll see the
commercials, and they look great every time.
Yeah,
commercial
looks amazing.
Looks great. Then you try it out, and you're like, Jesus, dude, seriously, do I need to learn how to read Sanskrit to figure this control?
Yeah, they're like, oh, we brought in Bruce Lee, and we've got Mike Tyson and Muhammad Ali, and like, oh yeah, by the way, they're on their ground. They're on the ground right now, and they're face down. They're face down on the mat. What are you gonna do? It's like, hate it.
Anyway, that was my Madden 20-second Madden review that led to straight up UFC Fight Night.
Yeah.
So anyway,
well, I guess we'll take this transitional period between games and entertainment, and our boy Ryan Hurst. And I know that we have different opinions on Ryan Hurst. I was excited when Ryan Hurst was cast in God of War. I was super stoked for him. I love Ryan Hurst. I think he's an incredible actor. I think he would be perfect for it. He was Thor in the video games already, and he's got a great voice for it. So my concern was his age, but he had gotten into good shape, especially now that we've seen.
Concern's not his age now, considering who we got.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we'll get to that. But we saw him in the Odyssey, and he looked great. But then, of course, with the first concerning thing. First, I was excited. Then we got that release, and I still can't believe that Amazon officially released the image that they did that made the rounds. I thought it was AI. I hoped it was AI. It wasn't AI. But turns out that was not a final thing. And again, why release it? Why release it if you're just
why do it if you're not gonna?
Yeah, because that wasn't even his. They had put some fake beard somehow over his real beard. It looked awful. I don't know why they did that. But anyways, then we got the heartbreaking news that he had a bicep tear 4 episodes in. And
go ahead, man. I need to step out for a second.
And everything is going to have to be reshot. So Ryan Hurst got the role. He weathered the storm of negative press, bad PR, whenever the image came out that had him and the little boy, and it looked like a stage presentation at a local high school. He weathered that storm, and then the news came out that he tore his bicep. They had already fully shot 4 episodes, and instead of delaying production further, so they've already delayed it into I think October or something like that. Instead of delaying production further, they would have had to have delayed it into 2027 to wait for him to heal. They decided to recast at least his role. there's still rumors about potentially, since they're going to have to reshoot the 4 episodes that they already shot with a new actor. There's rumors that they had already been considering of recasting the child actor for Atreus to be an older actor in season 2. There's rumors that perhaps they might take this opportunity to just recast the Atreus actor as well, to do this fresh start for starting from scratch from episode 1. Well, the word came out that Dave Bautista, was in talks, and it looks all but confirmed that Dave Bautista is going to be the new Kratos in God of War. He made references to it on his own Instagram, that talks were happening, and so yeah, it looks all but confirmed that it will be Dave Bautista that will be taking over the role as Kratos. So that's where we are. That's catching up. And now, after all that had happened, Ryan Hurst posted on his Instagram account a story, and it was him in full makeup. And I think what he was trying to do, and I'm going to show you the picture, but I think what he was trying to do is get some support for people to say, like, no, like, just wait, hold production. Let Ryan be Kratos. And I still wish they would, because my heart breaks for Ryan. But this was the image right here. This was Ryan Hurst as Kratos. You can see his beard, you can see the insane shape that he is in, and you can see the blood, that was, bonded to his skin there, the red, and it looks good. It looks like dried, kind of coagulated blood with sort of like different different tones and textures throughout it, and he looks like an absolute monster. They clearly have not, on this particular image, they have not put him, they haven't done the white to it yet. They haven't done the ashes to put the white on his skin, but it looks like, and man, if this is true, it will be even more heartbreaking because of the significance that his hair has to him. But it looks like that might not be a skull cap. That looks like they might have shaved his head.
Yeah, he shaved his head, man.
So,
as a guy who's had a very short haircut he shaved his head.
So yeah, that does not look like a skull cap. So
Yeah.
And his hair had a lot of significance to him. So to go through all of this and lose it, man, I am heartbroken for him. And I saw that, I mean, like, I was always stoked about Ryan playing God of War, or playing Kratos in God of War. I was just worried. I was like, can he get into shape? What? He can. Look at him. He looks great. I feel so bad for this guy, man.
Yeah, that's a tough beat, man. Even though I didn't agree with the casting at the time, that picture is undeniable.
Yeah.
As far as what he was able to accomplish in the gym. And the beard looks good too for the old Kratos. I was thinking, since our last show last week, and I don't really want to get off on a crazy tangent here.
Yeah, we
except
never do that.
I know we will. We were talking about Bautista and the longevity of that. Makes me wonder, why not just scrap the whole thing if you're going to kick Ryan Hurst out anyway, and go back and start from the beginning and do a younger Kratos and do the Greek storyline and start it from the beginning.
I
think they think there's more drama in the Norse one than there is in the other ones.
I think it's twofold. One, I think there's more drama. I think more people are probably more familiar with the Norse mythology just through cultural osmosis and different properties kind of having different aspects of it. So I think that's one thing. Also, while we all love the God of War games, if you look at the tone and the story and all that stuff, it is certainly a far better told story in the Norse thing, whereas before it was all about the violence and stuff like that. There was a story and there was lore, but the way that it was told was pretty loose.
Well, I mean, it was David Jaff, dude, and
yeah.
that dude, he's got attention deficit disorder as it is. So yeah.
So they don't exactly have, they like for Ragnarok, they already have a tight narrative laid out. Whereas looking back at God of War, that kind of got a little off the rails at times. He had a brother, if you played the spin-offs and stuff like that, and it got nuts. So I don't know. I think that they can go back to that. I think it would need a bit of a retooling
Yeah.
to make it there. And so, but ultimately, I still think that as you say a lot, you know, that you get one chance at a first impression, and
Yeah.
this is the first live action God of War property. You spent all this money, investment, you did all this research, you did all this supposedly to find the right way to present it. And Ryan Hurst was your guy, and he got injured, and he got injured doing what you asked him to do. I
Yes.
I think you owe it to him to push production back as long as it takes. I know that Ryan Hurst isn't Tom Cruise, he's not Brad Pitt, whatever. But you hired him for a job, he did it. You had him do something that you should have had a stunt double do.
Right.
And he hurt himself doing it for you. I think, yeah, I know it'll delay a lot of things, but it's better to do it the way that you wanted to do it than to try to scramble for a second best option.
And this tangent's your fault because you brought up Brad Pitt, but Brad Pitt literally injured his Achilles heel filming a scene as Achilles in the movie Troy, and they took a 6-week break. And listen to me, I don't care who the hell you are, a 6-week break in production. What did that cost them? Who paid for that? And you can't give Ryan Hurst, 3 weeks to fix a bicep, or
Well-
worse, even
it's
more than
because
that.
it would have pushed production
Work
into
around it.
2027.
Work around it.
Yeah.
Use a stuntman.
Yeah.
Shit.
I think that there are certainly ways that it could have been worked around.
You
I'm
can still act with a bicep tear, by the way.
yeah, like, let's be real. You're going to be doing some pretty heavy CGI stuff for this anyway.
Yeah.
CGI and arm onto him, doing what you want it to do.
Right.
Yeah. I still, I don't know. I just feel bad. I feel bad for Ryan. This was going to be the biggest thing that he had ever done.
Without a doubt, man.
I mean, he was headlining a show. He
And
was
I
no
don't wanna
longer a
say he's
supporting
fucked
actor.
for life, but he's
Yeah.
fucked for life probably now. It's probably, yeah. They're going to say,
And-
well, now he's injury prone.
Yeah, like the whole like professional wrestling, like you get somebody that like, oh well, we did have him jump off a 20-foot ladder and go through 3 tables, and he injured his knee. Now he's injury prone. Like, yeah, or maybe
Yeah.
he just did something that was fucking crazy, and he got hurt doing it, and you're lucky he didn't hurt himself worse. It's not injury prone; he's just injured because you had him doing something crazy.
No shit.
So yeah, there's that. I again, he looked great. I know there's basically no hope of them changing course and deciding to delay into 2027 and doing what they need to do. But man, I wish they would. I want this for Ryan.
Yeah, me too, man. At this point, I do. I mean, the pictures sell it, and even though he had like 4 lines he spoke on the Odyssey, which I feel like they invited him onto the cast of that show just to help him get in that realm of the fantasy realm and get some work in. That they probably worked their asses off in the gym on that show for all the people that had fight scenes. But and even though I wasn't excited about his initial casting, he did the work, man. And I know the people that have longer hair, they prize it, and that says a lot too if he shaved it off. I've
Well,
never been one of those
he's
people,
a
but
Kundalini yogi and all this stuff now.
I don't know what any of that sounds like. Made up words. All words are made up. Go ahead,
so
Thor.
His hair and all this stuff has a lot of significance to him. So in order to
Okay.
get this big break, and if he went through the extent of not only doing the body transformation and putting in that work, but to cut his hair, which has been a signature of his. So not just the significance personally and religiously, but like that's just been like one of his trademarks in his career since he's been Opie, in Sons of
Yeah.
Anarchy. Man, that's just I just hate that he gave all of this to the role, and then they're like, Yeah, no, we're just gonna go with Dave. Sorry. But thanks for doing
Yeah.
that thing that we asked you to do, though. That you hurt yourself on. But yeah, we don't want to play with you. What I do hope, though, is that as you mentioned, he was on the Odyssey, and we know, and if you watch the Odyssey, you can see a bunch of recycled toys that Nolan Nolan likes to, Christopher Nolan, the director of the Odyssey, likes to play with toys that he's played with before. Whenever he works with actors and he likes those actors, he finds things to do with those actors again. And
so many
Ryan Hurst got his
directors do that.
chance here, and so I
Scorsese
hope that
does
he gets
that.
used.
Like Scorsese does that with Damon and Alec Baldwin and Leonardo DiCaprio and De Niro all the time. So, and that's a good move. And so I hope you're right. I hope he becomes he becomes part of the stable for whoever this guy is. But yeah, man, it's a bad beat. There's just no way around it. That's really all you can say about it.
Yeah. Okay. So, do we want to talk about the Netflix movie, or do we want to go into Lioness or Game of Thrones?
I'll do those because yours is probably going to be funny, and it's a good thing to end on. I love ending on humor, and I'm sure I'm going to end up laughing a lot because, oddly enough, I absolutely, when you brought that movie up, I expected you to say you loved it. You're more
brilliant
of a fan.
marketing.
You're more of a fan of independent film than I am.
This was not independent.
And no, I looked at the cast. So yeah, I brought the cast up. Although I'm like, well, no wonder these all guys suck. But anyway, so I'm just gonna say this about the Lioness because I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but especially for folks that watch the first 2 seasons, they just keep straight dropping bangers episodes on this show, and we're only like 2 or 3 episodes in. But folks, if you like the movie Black Hawk Down, the first episode of season 3 is like Black Hawk Down on steroids. You will see some shit you've never seen in what I'm going to air quote war picture before, or definitely a combat scene. It's going to be unlike any combat scene you've ever seen.
That is one.
Yeah. And that's me saying that, man. It takes a lot for me to even like a combat scene. But oddly enough, one of the roles in that first episode was they did a job that I did. And I was like, oh my God, they freaking nailed that. And it's Taylor Sheridan's role, by the way.
Oh, I thought you meant his show, but
no,
yeah, him in the role. That's another thing. Seeing him in Lioness.
Yeah.
Speaking of people putting in work and
yes,
and potentially the pharmacy, I don't know, but good God, Taylor Sheridan is jacked.
Yeah. So the role he plays in this, his name's Cody, and he's
like a
part
mercenary,
of the,
right?
Yeah. So a lot of people, and you'd have to watch like Sean Ryan and all those guys, like the guys that took down Bin Laden or whatever. There's another unit out there that's they're literally called the Unit. This is a real thing, and they're kind of comprised of the SEAL Team 6 is probably the best of the best. These guys are like a notch above that. And he's in that unit from what I can tell in this show. I just
remember seeing him in season 2, and it was very much,
yeah,
whatever he wanted to do. Yeah.
Yeah. And I loved his line at the beginning of season 2 where he's like, you know what they say about the old soldier, type of deal. And that was so great. And
beware the old soldier.
In this season, so he calls for artillery fire, and never in any movie have they ever got that right. And dude, he absolutely freaking nails the whole call in, and then just the whole scene, man. It is without a doubt probably the most accurate combat depiction you're going to see, definitely on television, if not in movies, without a doubt.
That's impressive. Well, and
then go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say something that we had talked about whenever regarding like the Odyssey and Charlize Theron. It was like, well, the Odyssey just goes and proves like without heavy prosthetics or something like that, there's nothing you can do to make Charlize Theron unattractive.
Correct.
Zoe Saldana, very much this. I don't know, maybe it changed in season 3, but seasons 1 and 2, it doesn't matter how dirty or bloody or whatever they're got. Like, there's no way to make her not hot.
Yeah, she is just a living, breathing smoke show, no doubt. And kudos to Dave Annabelle for getting cast as her husband, as the stay-at-home doctor husband. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. I'd take that role. That'd be fine. I'd do that every day. And he does such a great job acting like she's not a smoke show. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, he loves her. You can tell he loves her, as their characters. But I'm like, dude, seriously? But so this is a unique season. Something really, really, really bad happens at the very beginning, and you're kind of getting caught up as the season goes along. But again, Jill Wagner, as I love her as Bobby on there. Again, hadn't seen her in anything since the Blade TV series, so she's come a long way. And then some of the other people that I've noticed off of other Taylor Sheridan shows.
Well, I was going to say, much like Christopher Nolan as well, Taylor Sheridan likes to play with toys he's played with before.
Yeah, like Two Dogs is on Landman, and I thought he was on Yellowstone for a little bit. Anyway, show's phenomenal. I love it. I hope you get caught up on it, man, because it is really, really good. But House of the Dragon, we had the finale this week.
And this is the finale forever, right? This wraps up how... Oh, no, they got one more?
Season.
One more season. Okay.
Yeah, we've got one more season because we've got 3 more very significant events to tie up that story. And we got one of the final 4. The other 3 are obviously going to be in next season. It was a fan service episode finale, man. It really was. I think they tied up a lot of ends that people wanted tied up, as far as people dying or people finding out what they needed to find out. I think in a lot of ways, the part I didn't like is I think they're painting Rhaenyra in a light so that it'll be easier to come to grips with the realization at the end of next season. And that part I don't like because the book didn't do that. But the other characters, you're going to love the Stark guy that's in it. I mean, who doesn't love a Stark, right? I only bow to one king, and it's the king in the north type of deal. But I thought it did an excellent job of tying up what they had left to tie up in this season. So we got a huge battle scene, of course. You had dragons in this one, really good dragon scenes. But the acting work was Matt Smith. I mean, he is Daemon Targaryen, dude. There's just no doubt about it. I know a lot of people are going to think it's his time as as Doctor Who that's going to be his legacy, and a lot of people think it's going to be his time in the Crown as his legacy.
But I think his legacy will be a lot of things to a lot of different people.
Yeah,
everybody's going to have their Matt Smith thing because everything he does, he kills it.
Yeah, he's the Ryan Gosling of the Great Britain.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he absolutely nails the role of Daemon. I mean, he couldn't have played it better. I mean, it's book accurate. There's no bullshit with Daemon Targaryen's character, and Matt Smith plays it that way. It's like, hey, you know what? Let's just fucking burn everything, and then we won't have to worry about anybody. And he's absolutely right and absolutely wrong all at the same time. So, but yeah, great finale, man. I loved it, and that's all I've got.
All right. Well, you may have seen some of the marketing around a Netflix film called The Last House. Whether you'd just kind of like seen it on YouTube, or even one of their things was making the rounds on social media because they had a live billboard where it was the front of a house and there was a dude sitting in this build out of a front house, like a facade of a front house, and he was sitting in there in his robe holding up a dry erase board like, oh, can't get out, whatever, this whole thing.
Is this a horror movie?
So it is a sci-fi suspense thriller horror thing that they're trying to do, right? So you see it and you're like, oh, they can't get out of the house is locked, there's a lot of water, it's always raining, and they show you these clips of these sort of like like these octopus like beings, and that's that's all we know, right, from these trailers. I'm like, okay, whatever, we'll see. So I start the movie, And the very first thing that it does is it flashes a quote on the screen. So going off of just what I've told you, Jay, just what I've told you about this, what we've seen, in the trailers and stuff. So then this quote flashes up, and I roll my eyes immediately. So the quote it's from Arthur C. Clarke, and it says,
God.
"How inappropriate to call this planet Earth when it is clearly ocean." And then that fades away, and then the camera that we get is underwater, and you see old buildings and cars and stuff under this green, murky, polluted water. And I'm like, no. So me just telling you that, do you already know the plot, Jay?
I mean, I have a good idea, but you bringing up Arthur C. Clarke, and there's only 3 quotes that Arthur C. Clarke ever gets brought upon, and that's one of them. The other one is there's 2 incontrovertible facts in the universe. There is a God, and you're not him. And the other one, which is you've heard a million times, that science is indistinguishable from magic to any civilization. That one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he was a huge believer in the ocean, even though he wrote science fiction. He talked about how one of his big things was talking about how we've explored more of space than we have of our own ocean. So I'm having a feeling that it has to do with a lot with either species and or waterborne things that we should know about by now in our history, but don't.
And maybe there was like there's an also, then it goes into this thing where it's like, we all remember when the rain came. We all remember
dude.
where we were and what we were doing. It's like that kind of intro, this voiceover that's going. It's like, I'm like, oh my God. Like I am it's like M. Night Shyamalan without the creativity, and if the twist was the first frame of the movie, where it's like, oh my God, the whole thing is, like, I mean, I saw that and I was like, okay, so the story is, look how mean we've been to the ocean and the polluting and the, and all this stuff, and now it's going to push back, right?
Yeah.
So it goes through all this, then it shows the guy, the dad, and he's a fisherman, or he's fishing at the dock. He's actually an engineer. But so he's fishing at the dock, and there's this whole thing, and then he goes into this house. Anyway, rain comes. They're gonna go out somewhere, and they go to open the door. The door won't open, and then they're stuck there. And then they look around, and nobody can get out. They look out their windows and look at their neighbors. Their neighbors are stuck too, and they're communicating by writing on these boards, and that's the whole point of like the billboard thing, where the guy's like holding up a dry erase board. And so they did that with neighbors. Hey, do you have food? Do you have food? And all this, because nobody can get out. So everybody's
what were they planning on doing if they had the sign that said, "Hey, do you have any food?" Yeah, we do.
Well, that was just it. There was one part where they asked, "Hey, do you have food?" They said, "Yeah, we do. We've got enough for now. Do you have food?" And the guy's like, "Nope." And then it's like, oh, so he's fucking dead. And then plot twist, he fucking died because no food. So it's like, oh, 2 days, 5 days, 3 weeks, whatever. And then, so this guy died, the neighbors die, all this, and then it's like 5 years later. It's a dad, a mom, and their 2 kids.
So Avengers Endgame.
Yeah, we got blipped. So the whole thing is like, before we get that 5-year jump, though, you see some weird stuff, right? So you see that the rain is coming. It's just constantly raining, and you start to see these wet, shadowy figures. Well, of course they're wet, it's in the rain, but these shadowy figures walking around. And the little girl at the time, tries to tell, her parents, like, yeah, there's this creature. It's the rain lady, and she comes when it's raining and all that. And then she's like, she's nice, and they're like, no, it's got to be something. Anyway, they get this thing where they see like these beings take people away, and they're trying to find people, and they're tapping on windows and stuff, and they're like, oh, be quiet, shh, don't be quiet. They're trying to like hide from it. And they're seeing all this out their windows, and then he's like, well, they're monsters. And she's like, no, that one was nice. and then it skips 5 years later. It's like, I don't know what's happening right now. I just know, obviously, the
Okay.
ocean's pissed, and somehow that leads to all this. 5 years, then you get all the stuff. Everybody's mad. It's the same thing whenever you get a bad roommate, right? Everything everybody does annoys the shit out of everybody else. And it's this whole thing. And really, you just kind of see them surviving. It's like Castaway, but in a 3-bedroom house where, oh, okay, well, I'll throw this through the chimney and I'll, lure in a squirrel and that'll set the trap. And then I can reel the squirrel back in through the chimney and pull it out. And that's how we eat. And oh, this is how we'll grow corn. And it's just stupid stuff. Well,
Wow.
ultimately, the whole thing comes to a bit of a thing where, like, one day, one of those monsters, like, comes by and sees them. Somehow, they have avoided any sort of detection for 5 years. That there's like, they've never, like, they can open these doors anytime they want, right? And they've seen these are intelligent beings, supposedly,
Yeah.
that can, like, access and have killed everybody else, killed all your neighbors. But because you've been very, very quiet every time it's walked around for 5 years, like, they're not intelligent enough to know that, like, hey, I don't think we've been in that house yet, guys. Like, maybe we should open that door,
Right.
Doesn't think for 5 years this doesn't happen. And then all of a sudden, one day, boom, door opens and it comes around. Well, then they're like, oh, be quiet. Everybody be quiet and stay out of sight. Nobody's quiet. Everybody gets seen. Nobody dies. So it's like, okay, can this thing hear or see? Is it special? Because you just broke all the rules and you're still around. It was upset, but it was just so ridiculous. And that starts this whole, like, plot of, okay, well, then it leaves. When it leaves, it shuts the door and they can't get out. Well, then they eventually get it to the point where they're like, okay, you know what? Screw this. We're gonna
Right.
kill it. We're gonna get out. Anyway, it's all stupid. It's all stupid. They finally get to a point where they're like, okay, we've got a plan. We're gonna get out. They go, like, they get into the sewer system and they pop up into the house of the person across the street. Because that guy that died because he didn't have food, he was a dentist and they needed antibiotics, so they went and got all this bullshit. Anyway, it just pisses these octopus people off, right? And they come in eventually, and the whole big climactic thing is this family, fights this octopus thing, and eventually, like, the engineer dad, outsmarts it, and ultimately it gets caught up in this rope. And keep in mind, this thing has tried to fucking kill him for 3 days. And well, technically 5 years, but for realsies, for like 3 days.
For real.
And so this thing's there. This dude's got a knife. Like, this thing's tied. It's about to gas, and he's gonna kill it. And
Right.
he remembers what his daughter 5 years ago, whenever she's like, no, I saw this one. This one's nice. And and he thinks about that again, not considering the fact that he saw these things murder the fuck out of all their neighbors, and
Yeah.
like drag them through the streets and drown them in water. But since your little girl, who didn't see any of the murders, saw, they're like, no, I think this one's nice. He remembers this one, the one that's just tried to kill them, and he's like, you know what? He like holds the blade up to its eye, and then he cuts the rope, and then the rope falls away, and it gets up, and it's upset, and then it opens the door. It lets the door open, and then they walk out, and there's 4 other octopus people that come out, and they're about to attack them, and this octopus comes out and says "rawr" in octopus, and don't mess with them. And then they all turn around, and the 5 octopus people just jump in the water and they go away. The house falls apart and sinks into the ground, and then they, like, get on a boat and they go through Seattle, and you see them float by the Space Needle because the waters are so high, and they're now looking for a new home. And then the girl that did the voiceover, she's like, we all still remember the day the rain stopped. It's like, there's fucking 4 of you. Everybody's dead. 4 people remember whenever the rain stopped, But then, so there's all these unanswered questions. So there's 5 octopus people, and then she's like, and some people still again. There's 4 of you. It's you, your brother, your mom, and your dad. Some people, no, all 4 of you. They're like, some people still believe that that they're still around somewhere. Like, of course they're still around. You didn't kill them when you had the chance. Like, yeah, of course they're still around. And then it's like, oh, one act of mercy begat another act of mercy, and being them stopping the rain. Again, they killed the fucking world. Okay, these 5 things killed everyone but your 4 things, and now it's like, okay, I guess we're evensies. But none of this is ever explained. Okay, so where did they come from? Were they always there? Were they the result of pollution? Did they get mad because somebody littered? Like, what's going on? Also, how did they make it rain? If they could make it rain, also, how does the rain hold the doors shut? Like, this is such a prominent thing. How do they do that? How do they keep the doors closed? How do they know to keep the doors closed and block all these windows? Also, if it's just raining, how did we flood to the top of the space? Did they also make the ice caps melt? Like, I mean, obviously they did this, and the whole thing is the environment fighting back against what we've done to it. So, I mean, that would be undoing our damage. So shouldn't the ice caps be rebuilding? I don't know. None of it. So we don't know what powers they actually possess, because this thing just like opened the door with its octopus mind, and all we saw was 5 of them. So I don't know. Like, they explained nothing. So this was like, this seems like a movie that got funded by some dude being like, dude, wouldn't it be cool if there was like some octopus people and they got mad because somebody threw a Snickers wrapper off the dock in Seattle, and then people couldn't get out of their houses? Well, why don't you just break a window? Okay, they couldn't break windows either. I don't know. They can't do any of it. They're in the house, and they're like, well, how do they stay there? And like, I don't know. It's always raining, and and we'll just go there. And they're like, all right, well, here's $40 million. I don't. It is so. Sometimes I watch a movie and I'm disappointed, and I don't, it's a bad movie. I'm disappointed, or I'm upset, or I'm bored, or I'm like, man, I have not been so pissed off at how bad a movie was since Prometheus, man.
First off, Prometheus is a classic and it's excellent.
It is an awful movie.
Second, I'm just going to tell anybody that will watch or listen to this episode or this segment, I don't even need to say anything. That review was so well done, and he does these whole conversations on his own. Dude, I don't know what else I can say to that other than I'm probably going to watch it now.
Do it. I would love to know how bad you think it is.
If you think it's bad, I'm guaranteed I'm going to think it's bad. But also, I'd like to bring up there's a growing amount of the population, roughly 40%, that believe that
At least
octopi are not from Earth, that they are already resident alien. Which also is a great show, by the way, if you haven't watched Alan Tudyk and Resident Alien. But
I'm aware of it. I have not seen it.
There's a lot of people out there that think that octopus people are not from Earth. So
Yeah.
maybe it's kind of alluding to that.
Well, everybody, or there are some people that think they're still around, Jay, that they never left.
Great. Some people, 4 people. I also think I love your analogy of the guy that's like sitting on the front porch is like, listen, what if we had octopus people?
It feels like an entire movie where somebody was just like, dude, what if?
Dude,
and then never bothered to tie everything together. Like, wait, how do we wrap all this up? And they're just like,
yeah,
we roll credits, bro. Or something like, we don't need to do anything.
It's like a bad Seth Rogen plot, dude. Him and Franco.
It is comically but enragingly bad. I mean, it is insane. And then there's like a part where, like, this dude's he's an engineer, and that's why he's able to do like these, like rig up these different things and keep them alive through his, problem solving and his engineering skills. And then like there's one part where like whenever everybody's upset with everybody else, where the wife is like, you haven't done it, like you haven't kept us alive. We're alive because we got lucky because there was a crack in the chimney, and that's what gave us a hole that we could throw this out of. Where it's like, no, I'm pretty sure it was him. Like he's the one that figured all this stuff out. But it's like, I don't know, it was so bad. There was like there was a whole sort of lost plot point that became completely irrelevant. Like there was like a gun. There's a plot point where he goes and he like finds he grabs the gun right when they're trying to get out, and and defend themselves. He goes and gets this gun. He had bought this gun days before without telling his wife, and she is like, "Oh my gosh, you can't buy something like that without telling me." He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I was going to tell you, but blah blah blah." So there's this whole thing. So you're like,
The
okay,
fuck?
here we go. This gun's gonna be significant. Somebody's gonna get shot. It's gonna be this whole
Yeah.
thing. No, no. At some point, she grabs the gun and she tries to shoot the octopus with it, and the octopus knocks it out of her hands, and then the gun's gone. And that's it. That's that's all we get with the gun. Like great Schrodinger's gun thrown in there, where it's like, okay, like what will this do to advance the plot? Nothing. It won't do anything. It serves literally no purpose. I mean, there's so many plot devices that are introduced that are worthless and matter nothing, and then so they spend all this time on these ridiculous like red herrings, no pun intended, in the plot without tying up any of the actual plot holes.
That's insane. And yeah, I'll probably watch it. It's also weird to me that we've also got a AAA movie coming out with a similarly disturbing plot where a whole neighborhood basically gets lifted and set down in
Ah,
prehistoric dinosaurs.
yes.
And this thing has an all-star cast, including Ewan McGregor and Anne Hathaway. It's called The End of Oak Street. And I want to see that movie because it looks crazy to me. But they end up fighting dinosaurs and shit. So I don't even know what
I
happened to this neighborhood that it got set down in prehistoric America.
no matter how bad that movie may or may not be, there is no doubt it will surpass The Last House. I mean, there's no way it couldn't.
That's great.
It's insane. Yeah, I want you to watch it. I want you to watch it and see it and see what other plot holes you find in it, and just like, what are we doing here? I mean, this is one where I would like legitimately just don't know how it got made. And like you said, it's one of those where you're like looking at the cast, and it's like with Star Lord and the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, where it's like, I'm Star Lord, and ooh, like
Yeah.
it's like I think the dad, I've seen him in something. I don't know what it is. It's like the Snap famous thing where you see his face, you're like, oh, I've seen him
Yeah.
somewhere. I don't know. But yeah, dude, it's awful. It's the worst movie I've seen in recent memory.
Even worse than Hudson Hawk.
Dude, you have no idea. Like, watch this movie, dude. It's so bad.
I'm going to watch it.
And this, I recommend anybody go and watch it if you might find it entertaining, because this is where the entertainment value is going to be in shitting on it later. Like there's no redeeming qualities about this movie. It's my mind was blown, and it's one of those movies where it took me it was like 3 tries. It took 3 attempts to watch this movie, because I'd start it and it would just be going nowhere. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna stop it. I'll come back to it, and like come back, and I started it, pick back up, watch it again. I'm like, okay, I'm getting tired now. I'm gonna go to bed, and then they say like, okay, let's finish this fucking thing out, and then finally we get to the end. It was one of those, dude. It's a fucking chore to get through. It is a joyless slog. It is absolute slop. It's like it was written by Gen 1 AI. Dude, this movie is hot trash.
All right. Well, I think we know where he stands on this movie, The Last
And
House.
if you watch it, I cannot wait to hear your feedback, and we can talk about it next week.
That's
to see-
assuming you're still alive after I watch it. Although I have been warned. So at least I know.
Yeah, you can
I'm going
at
into-
least have some entertainment value
Yeah.
from it because you know how bad it's going to be. Whereas I was like waiting for it to get. I was like, is there going to be a plot twist? Are they at least going to tell us like how many there are? Like, I guess no.
Yeah.
I guess we just assume it's 5. But it's like, okay, well, is it just this neighborhood? And then you see that all of the world is flooded. And like, I guess not. I guess it's not just this neighborhood. You know. But again, where did all the water come from? Like, did they melt the ice caps? That seems kind of counterintuitive to what they're trying to do. Dude,
Yeah.
everything asks a question or 3 that has no answer. It's the worst. It's the worst. And then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. Type of plot I've ever seen. It's
All right.
It's peak slop, dude. There's nowhere to go. I guess, or an inverse peak. We're at the very. It can't go lower. It's only up from here.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give it a go.
I'd rather watch anything. Caillou from or something. Anything.
The Avatar: The Last Airbender movie.
I would take that over this.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's saying a lot right there. That tells me everything I need to know.
Give me the OG Avatar: The Last Airbender movie over this for sure.
Okay. Well, buddy, that's all I had.
Well, that's all
Obviously,
I
it was-
got. That's all I got.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll call it a show there, and I'll let my blood pressure come back down. But
Yeah.
I look forward to hearing your thoughts on the movie.
You'll hear them by next episode.
I
for
can't
sure.
wait. I can't wait.
Yeah.
I
might
am-
watch it tonight. I'm in that kind of mood tonight where I'm like, okay, let's just go.
Well,
Let's just
especially
do
if
it.
you're already you already know it's gonna be. So it's like, okay,
Yeah.
let's find some shit to rip on this
Yeah.
thing about. Like now you
Yeah.
can be like hyper observant, and like looking for stuff that's wrong.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, I look forward to discussing it more.
All righty.
But okay, well, thank you everybody for our slow news week, but still show, our episode 82. And yeah, we will see you next week for 83, unless there are any closing remarks that you have, Jay.
I do not, man. I'm looking forward to watching The Last House.
All right, well, I look forward to hearing your last word on The Last House. Until next week, we will see you on the internet.
I must bid you adieu. Goodbye.